Good afternoon. Back here with another one for you guys. Today this is going to be really, I think, an important question that everyone who deals with a narcissist struggles with. Should we pity the narcissist? It's a tough question. I know people are going to feel really strongly one way or the other about this. There are people that I've heard that say, no way. Why would you ever pity the narcissist? That's insane. There are other people who, as I'll explain, get to a place where maybe they see the whole picture, the whole scope of things, and they realize, maybe I do kind of pity the narcissist. I'm going to take two different paths here. I'm going to answer the question, but I'm going to answer it and say, for me, do I pity the narcissist? The answer is actually yes and no. So let me take the first part, the first part first. I don't pity the narcissist in a certain way. These people are absolutely hideous to deal with. I know I don't like to call anybody subhuman, but anyone who's dealt with these people understand that they're really not entirely human in the way they behave. People call them all sorts of different things. Energy vampires, empty meat suits, formless, hollow, void, an empty shell. And the truth of the matter is, all these descriptions in one way or another are correct. There's no substance to these people. There really aren't. There really isn't. And they don't change. So all the gaslighting, all the abuse, the way that they plan evil. I have a video called the Narcissist is an Impulsive Planner, which is seemingly an oxymoron, but they are. Some things they do just on the spur of the moment, fly by the seat of their pants. They do a lot of things like that. They live for the moment. They don't think long term down the road. What's going to be like if I do this? If I make this decision, what will things be like 6 months from now, a year, 2 years? That's why they can do things like shack up with somebody in 2 months and be starting to try to have kids with them immediately. And then it blows up a month later and you're thinking, wow, you almost saddled yourself to this person forever because you didn't think. But on the other hand, they do so many things that involve planning and intentionality, and they know what they're doing. When they gaslight you, when they hide objects from you, keys, a wallet, work documents, they know what they're doing. They're doing it to torment you. When they give you silent treatment for days on end, the abuse that silent treatment provides is insidious. There's nothing worse than the person you love acting like you don't exist. And they can do it for days, for weeks, for months, if you let them. Because they don't care. You have to be the one to cave first, because they don't care about what they do to people. The constant criticism. You can't cook. You can't clean. You can't drive. You can't think. Your ideas are bad. You're stupid. Your project, the things you do as projects are stupid. You're a bad partner. You're not reliable. You're not clean. You don't keep your house up the right way. You have no standards for this, that, and the other thing. They just barrage you with abuse constantly. Constantly. They triangulate you, which is the very worst thing I feel like you can do to somebody in a lot of ways. Because they'll pull a third party into your relationship just to manipulate and to drive you crazy. They like to do it with past exes. They'll just say a name out of nowhere. Justin. Who's Justin? Oh, actually, I dated a Justin. Forgot. Actually, we dated for like a year. They know what they're doing. They have interactions at work, and they might come home or call you and say, so-and-so was down at my workspace again and hitting on me. They do that to frustrate you. And they don't care about you. So the constant barrage of abuse, gaslighting, silent treatment, stonewalling, And not to mention that they wear a mask all the time for the express purpose of tricking and fooling you and everyone else. How evil is it to masquerade? And they masquerade as an angel of light. I have a video about that. The narcissist masquerades as an angel of light, just like Satan, their master, does. Why do they do that? Because they know on the inside they're disgusting and evil. They're whitewashed tombs. So think about just the nature of someone who has to hide themselves completely because who they really are is filthy. And they know that. But they're going to trick you anyway. So they can entangle you in their web of abuse. The narcissist goes around the world like a vortex. That's all they do. From the moment that they start to become a narcissist to the end of their lives. Their whole life is about gobbling up resources, manipulating, abusing, getting one up on people, bringing you down to their level, always. That's their sole purpose. They know that they're in the pit, that they resonate at the very lowest levels of human existence, if you can call it that, and their goal is to bring you down to the same level that they are, and hopefully to destroy you. I've known people who have committed suicide because they were with a filthy narcissist who drove them to that point. They didn't have God in their lives, so they were helpless to fight the narcissist. Because it's a spiritual battle. And narcissism is a spiritual disorder. It's a spiritual evil. Do I feel sorry for somebody who does all of this stuff? Not really. And the most frustrating thing is they get away with it. Now, not forever, and they do get theirs on a daily basis in some ways because they're so miserable. And I'll get to that in the next part. But they get away with this seemingly. And the biggest thing that really bothers me is with the advent of dating sites, which I covered on a video recently, maybe this week. The dating sites and social media allow them to just sit back and make no effort and manipulate on their third arm, their cell phone. They are constantly just sitting back, manipulating, lying, cheating. And let me finish it off with that one. They're not faithful. I'm going to continue to say this. Narcissists are not faithful. They're never faithful. They are always communicating with other people and putting backups in place. Matter of fact, I saw a weird statistic recently that between 50 and 70% of women, and I know men do this too, I get it, but it seems to be pretty prevalent with women, 50 to 70% have a backup plan in place, married or not. They have a backup plan in place in case the relationship collapses. A friend, a male orbiter, somebody in their atmosphere of their lives to fall back on, which they communicate with the whole time. Well, that's extraordinarily narcissistic. And let me tell you, 100% of narcissists do this. Whatever percentage it is of men and women in general, 100% of narcissists do it. They're not faithful, they cheat. Whether that's physically, emotionally, whatever you want to say, they all do it. And they just terrorize lives. They torture and destroy people. That is their mission. They're on assignment from the devil to do this. They are Satan's foot soldiers. If you're not grasping the spiritual dynamic, then you're missing so much of this. Oh, it's just a mental disorder. And they just kind of do things. And they had bad childhood. Okay, much of that is probably true. But they gave themselves over to the path of darkness many, 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 many times throughout the course of their lives until they became, most of them, reprobates. They're evil people. It's not just, he's a jerk, she's mean. No, they do evil things. So do I hope that their lives go well as long as they continue that path? No, I don't. They deserve to get everything that comes their way. And they will. So, on the one hand, I don't feel sorry for the narcissist. Not one single bit. Now, part 2 of this. Here is why while on this earth, the here and now, I don't feel sorry for them a bit. I do ultimately feel sorry for them in a completely different way. You see, each narcissist's life is a tragic story. And I'm going to do a video just on this, maybe it's multiple throughout the course of this channel. The narcissist's life is a sad and tragic tale of what could have been. Many of them are talented. They have skills and attributes. Some of them are very attractive. Some of them are very charismatic. Most of them are charismatic, appealing. They have skills. Some are extremely intelligent. They could have had so much to offer the world. If only the narcissists weren't narcissists. Instead, they chose to go the path of darkness by the things I mentioned earlier. Manipulation, destruction, criticism, gaslighting, stonewalling. And they chose to go the path of darkness and to serve Satan, whether they knew that consciously or unconsciously. So now they live a life of despair. They hate themselves. If you ever think to yourself, the narcissist has it great now, the narcissist is having a wonderful life, they got it together, they're happy in their life, they're happy with this person, where they live, what they're doing, you are dead wrong. And I've fallen victim to this too. But they're not happy because they cannot be, in principle. They loathe and despise their very existence. And do you know what else? When they gave over their lives to the path of darkness and to follow Satan, which is what they did, they are now entangled in a demonic web. They have demonic attachment in their lives. People call it the Jezebel spirit. There's multiple things. There's many different things involved here. But they have demons in their lives. You've seen this. If their eyes go black, if you've seen that. If you've seen the deadness, if that's a word, that they show you, there's no emotion. Or the rage fits that they throw. Or just the evil things they plot and scheme. They have demonic attachment. And they live with that turmoil all the time in their minds. The trauma bond, the walking on eggshells that people feel when they're in relationship to them, they feel that all the time. Not maybe the trauma bond, but they live with chaos. They're miserable. They're high, they're low, they're high, they're low, they're low, they're low, they're lower. They're back up, they're high, they're low. Their life is a spinning wheel. It's a carnival of chaos. They live this life. And what you see, and what many people see, is just that. It's the mask. It's the facade. It's not real. Inside their hollow, empty shells, there's nothing there. And they live in the torment with demons all the time, all throughout their lives. And they live with the knowledge of all the people they've maimed and destroyed, relationships that they've massacred, people's lives they've turned upside down. Many of them have abortions. Many of them ruin their children's lives. Almost all of them do. They're terrible parents, and they know that. They have to live with the wreckage that is their life, to know how many relationships they've blown up. If they've had somebody like perhaps us in their lives, the one that got away, truly the one that really got away, they'll live with that the rest of their lives, knowing, man, I had it made with that person, and I blew it up, like I always do. And if they did this to a godly person, I hope that you guys are believers. One that did it to me, there's going to be a lot to pay for that and everything else. They live in constant chaos. They're miserable. They hate their lives. How sad really is that? When you block everything out, and I know this second part of it's not for everybody. You have to get to a good place. You have to be spiritually led. You have to have the Spirit of God in you and get to a place where you're totally healed and you're looking at the big, broad picture of human existence. Because we're on this world, on this earth, a very short time. So is the narcissist. and their lives go by in a flash because they're so all over the place. They never stop. There's no rest. Their lives go very quickly. There's no rest for the narcissist. And they're going to get more miserable as time goes on and more alone. And they're going to wake up one day at some point in time, and they're going to look back on all the wreckage, the chaos that has been their life, and be alone. And their kids have probably left them, and the best people that have ever come into their lives have left them, and they're left with the dregs. People like them. This is their lives. When you get to the right place, I think you cannot help but feel sorry for them. Not maybe on this earth, not the wreckage and carnage and the destruction they cause. They need to get theirs, and they will. And I don't feel sorry for that aspect of things, but I do feel sorry for them for what could have been. They could have been people like us. Instead, they're miserable, and they always will be, and they're controlled by demons. They live with that in that nightmare all the time, and trust me, it's a nightmare. I've seen people deal with this. But if you're not convinced, if you're a person of faith, here's the main reason why I truly do feel sorry for them above everything else. Do you know what's going to happen at the end of their lives? When every one of us stands before God, before the throne, and we have to give an account of ourselves, it says it clearly in Scripture. Everyone will give an account of themselves. However that looks like. In other words, we'll be judged according to our deeds. Our deeds, our life will be on display to God. Can you imagine what that's going to be like for the narcissist? When that scroll, metaphorically speaking, unravels, and they see and they have to face the horrific deeds they did all throughout their lives, the godlessness. Well, not really godlessness, because they have a God. It's Satan. Imagine what's going to happen. And imagine that they're going to have to hear the words that they're sentenced to Gehenna, hell. And there they will spend the rest of their eternity, all of eternity, in everlasting destruction, cut off from God, knowing full well everything they did. The narcissists can't accept blame, can they? They can't acknowledge what they do in this world. No, they can't. But they'll have to do it later. And that alone will be terror when they are confronted with their deeds. And they have to acknowledge everything they did. And then on top of it, to know they could have had everlasting life with Christ, could have had that, had they done things very differently. And instead, they're going to be sentenced to everlasting destruction in the lake of fire, with the devil and his demons. We can't grasp the terror and the destruction that will be. The punishment. We can't even grasp it. The narcissist will have to live it for the rest of time. Guys, I pity the narcissist, especially their everlasting future, their spiritual condition. But I also am deeply frustrated and have no pity for them as far as what they do here on this earth. They deserve what they get. But I'm telling you, they will get what they deserve. So no matter how you fall on this, I'd love to hear your comments. But this is my take on it. It's not going to be for everybody. I understand that. And I'm not telling you what's right or wrong, but I'm telling you what I think and how I process this. But I can tell you one thing, whether you pity the narcissist or you do not, the one thing is for sure, we are to have nothing to do with such people. Nothing. Pray for them from afar if that's what you want to do. Do not try to be their savior. Do not try to stay in their lives. Do not take them back into their lives. Do not think, maybe they'll come around. No, they're not your concern. They're the devil's property. And whether or not they ever come to Christ, which is highly doubtful, it's not your problem. If they do, let the angels rejoice for them, and that's wonderful. But it's not your problem. It's not my problem. I preached the gospel to them. You may have too. Many people have preached the gospel to narcissists. They have the truth. They know the truth. They didn't follow the truth, and they probably never will. So guys, that's my take on it. I hope you found this helpful. Come back at you with another video later this week, maybe a couple. Until then, God bless.